Our State of the U.S. segment tonight, the CIA is scrambling to contain the damage from the most recent WikiLeaks release. Investigators say the leak was the work not of a hostile foreign power like Russia, but of a disaffected insider, as WikiLeaks suggested when it released the documents Tuesday. The CIA spying files, 8,761 documents in all, are, according to WikiLeaks founder Julian Assange, the most comprehensive CIA release ever. With me now from the Center for Security Policy, former CIA analyst Fred Fleitz. Fred, hi, how are you?
Good to be here, Liz. I'm in New York doing Fox News interviews, but I am taking time out just to do your show.
Fred, I really appreciate it. I appreciate your loyalty. I always like to talk to you. And really, you're the perfect one to talk about this topic with. And not only are you an expert on Russia, you're a former CIA yourself. So let me ask you, let me just dive right into this. You know, the WikiLeaks release, they're calling it Vault 7, over 8,000 classified CIA documents, essentially the hacking capacity of the entire CIA, according to WikiLeaks. Some of it has been verified as being credible. It's certainly probable that it is authentic here. But my question, and I think this is the question a lot of the American people have when they read this story, is when the CIA themselves has the capacity to use their tools to target Americans, which arguably they do with these codes, are there very strict and effective accountability measures to ensure that we aren't the ones targeted?
There are, but let me first quote something that Julian Assange said today. I think he's a dirtbag. I have no time for him. He said that this was an historic act of devastating incompetence. How could the CIA allow one person access to so much stuff after the Snowden fiasco? Heads have to roll over this. It concerns me. You watch TV every day, and there's all these newscasters saying, you know, the CIA might be spying on you through your smart TV. No, there are very strict rules to regulate this kind of stuff. These are advanced tools to go after terrorists and enemies of the United States, and we need these tools to keep our nation safe.
Right, and because that, to be honest, that was my initial reaction too. It's scary to think that I could be in my living room, you know, cooking dinner with the TV on, and that they could hack into that. And to be honest, I don't trust our government. I have a lot of respect for the people in the intelligence community. I have a lot of respect for our military, but at the same time, we've seen politicians, you know, Barack Obama weaponize an agency, the IRS, for example, to target political opponents here in the United States. I mean, we've seen that happen, so it's not out of the realm of my imagination, at least, that this could happen again. It's good to know that there are some accountability measures. At this point, we have no proof that it was against United States citizens, but when we're talking about these tools being used against terrorists, I mean, Fred, now they know how we're targeting this. I mean, how damaging was this?
It's really very damaging. Basically, the terrorists have again been given a roadmap to what U.S. intelligence agencies and maybe British intelligence agencies are doing to follow them. And I'll tell you that, I mean, it's hard to say just trust the government, and I know your viewers don't want to hear that, but you know, CIA officers don't want to go to jail. And a practitioner who used this kind of stuff against an American citizen without authorization would go to jail.
And hopefully they would be caught and do so. I mean, I'm glad to hear that. That certainly gives me a little more confidence, although I think the fear of the unknown or the fear of Big Brother government is something that resonates with the American people. Fred, going back to what you said about the leaker, about one single person having enough access to all this information, I mean, I mean, I'm no expert in hacking for sure. I'm not a technological expert by any measure. But one person having access to the entire capacity of the CIA, all these millions and millions of lines of code, there were some reports that Russia was perhaps behind this, that they were just pointing the finger at a contractor to deflect attention away from them. That's what WikiLeaks said, it was a contractor. What's happening behind the scenes to find out who leaked this?
There's so many troublesome questions here. I don't know why CIA was doing this in the first place. This is something NSA is supposed to do. There are at least 4 intelligence agencies doing the same thing right now. There's this game in the government when there's a big topic, a hot topic, every agency sets up a project to cash in on the money. So I'm really concerned about that. I'm also concerned that this CIA cyber shop was set up awfully fast. CIA Director John Brennan is known to have lowered personnel standards to make the agency more diverse. So think about that. And I think that's how characters like Edward Snowden might have gotten into this new cyber office.
Right, because when you lower the standards for political correctness, then the standards are lowered. I mean, it seems like common sense to me, but let me just give you another example, because this comes from my skepticism, again, my lack of trust in government, and not necessarily in government, it's basically my lack of trust in human nature, that I know we're all vulnerable to our flaws, that when there is the opportunity for abuse, at some point, even if it's not the current administration, the current people in charge of those tools, when there's the opportunity for abuse, at some point, someone becomes in charge of it who will be susceptible and use that for their gain. Case in point here, the wiretapping that President Trump is alleging happened to him in Trump Tower during the campaign. I mean, Fred, would this have been a legitimate use of surveillance if we find out that this is true?
Well, I think there were FISA warrants, Foreign Intelligence Surveillance Court warrants, to go after Trump campaign officials. And I think the reason the Obama administration did this is because they were sure Clinton would win and no one would go after them. Well, now that Trump won, we can look at those warrants. We can find out who was behind them. We can find out which judges approved them and demand accountability. Frankly, it's outrageous that our intelligence agencies were going after Trump campaign officials during the campaign as late as last October. I think there will be accountability on this.
Right, and like I said, to draw it back in, this is why it concerns me, because I know sometimes when the capacity is here, when the tools and the tricks are available, people become politicized. They're not immune to this abuse. It's been used. Thank goodness President Trump won the election, and we're now actually being exposed to what happened here. Fred, we're out of time, but thank you so much for being here. I appreciate it.